Welcome to Pivot to Grow, where our philosophy is leap and grow your wings on the way up. Each week, we will bring not only our many years of experience, but also expert guests in many genres. Together, we will give you a blueprint on not only how to construct your new wings, we'll show you how to utilize them. We will do this with laughter, love, tears, compassion, friendship, and understanding. Here we go.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Pivot to Grow with Reverend Gail Dillon and myself, Ilya Vita, and our special guest today, Mary Jo Rathgeb. And hi, Gail. Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you too, Ilya. What have you been doing all week long?
Well, I, was drinking champagne, watching soap operas, taking bubble baths. Okay, sorry. Back to reality.
That is so much like you. I knew it. Living the life.
Living the life. Actually working on the podcast, working on the RIM process and getting that certification. And something exciting. I'm going to be coaching with Jack Canfield on his Breakthrough to Success program that's coming up. So that's kind of fun. What about you?
Well, I also have just completed the RIM Essential program. Got my last coaching in today, as a matter of fact, submitting that and doing another coaching program through the Rainer Institute. Moving, as I told you, so that's in the process, changing my lifestyle completely and looking forward to that. I am so grateful for the technology that we can move anywhere and still do things like this.
I don't think you mentioned so the last podcast you were talking about your house was up for sale, and to keep our fingers crossed, you didn't mention that it sold.
Oh, okay. It sold. It not only sold, we bought a new house. So see how quickly I move. So we're moving from Kent down to Long Beach, Washington, not California.
I wish Long Beach, California.
That would make us close, wouldn't it? That'd be fun.
So let's get into why we are here today. Mary Jo Rathgeb is the founder of Creative Directions for Living, currently a professional certified coach, certified RIM facilitator, human design consultant, and certified end-of-life doula. Mary Jo supports clients as they navigate the uncertainty of major transitions. She provides clients with practical tools to empower themselves so they can use this period in their life as an intentional growth opportunity. Welcome, Mary Jo.
Thank you, Ilya. Thank you, Gail. Nice to be here with you.
Nice to have you here. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, congratulations on your home sale.
Thanks.
So, Mary Jo, we're going to be talking today about human design. You did a report for Gail and I, and we're going to be going over a report. And for people out there, they can follow along. It's up on our webpage at pivottogrow.org. You can pull that up under Mary Jo's bio and take a look, follow along. But we're going to be talking about what human design is, how it applies to life, how it can help us. And then we're going to be learning a little bit about ourselves. Gail, are you as scared as I am?
A little bit, but that's okay. I know we're in good hands with Mary Jo, so looking forward to it.
All right, Mary Jo.
Nothing to be scared about. don't be scared.
Okay.
It's actually quite the opposite. Yeah.
So how about we start with human design? What is human design?
So human design is essentially a self-empowerment tool. And so you are all familiar with different personality assessments and things like that. Human design is actually an assessment that came during a supernova in 1987, and it was received by a Canadian man who goes by the name Rathgeb, and he downloaded this information from what he calls the voice. And the voice over 8 days and nights gave him just this download of information, and then it took him years to create the system that is the human design system. And it's a fascinating system that tells you about how you are energetically wired, gives you a blueprint for how to move through the world and engage with people so that you can live your most fulfilling and satisfying life. That sounds
Wow.
scary?
No, not at all. I do
No.
have a question, Mary Jo. So,
Yes.
because it said you coach
Yeah.
also, and so if I were in a coaching session with you,
Mhm.
do you do a human design report? Because we have our reports and I read it and it's good information, but to sit down with somebody that really understands, I think would be golden, because I was like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
And that's why it seemed a little scary, a little bit of information sometimes is not really enough. Yeah, it's dangerous.
Well, you only actually need a little bit of information about human design for it to really start changing your life. And by that, I mean, one of the things to talk to you guys today about was the type and the authority. Also, even I want to talk about your profiles, but the type can be life-changing by just knowing that one piece of information, because what that does is it gives you a way of engaging in opportunities and relationships in a way that your body wisdom is telling you yes or no.
Nice.
And for you two in particular, there's 5 different types in human design. And for you two in particular, you're both generator types. Gail, you're a pure generator, and Ilya, you're a manifesting generator. And so they work differently, but they both start with the same response to life. Like both of you are literally designed to respond from a gut response, getting an or an sound in your belly, and it can feel like a rising or a contracting or a back, but a response to something that's in front of you or internally, and that gives you the opportunity to say yes to things that intuitively your body knows is yes, or to that you're getting a no to or not yet. And so that one piece of information alone, if you both experimented with just that, could be life-changing.
Absolutely.
So what's the difference between, you said Gail was a pure and I'm a manifesting. What's the difference between those two?
Okay, so here we go.
Hold on, buckle in. Here we go. Okay.
Here we go. I'm gonna start with Ilya first. Because this one's a fun one. You're a manifesting generator. And so there's 5, let me just back up one sec. There's 5 types: manifestors, who are here to initiate and catalyze people. So pure manifestors do that. And then there are generators and manifesting generators. That's about 70% of the population. And the generator types are here to do the work of the world. You're the builders. You're the ones that master your craft. You are, you have consistent energy for workforce, life force energy. Then there's projectors, which is actually what I am. And that is here to guide people. I don't actually have consistent access to that sacral energy that you guys do. And so my working is different than what yours would be. And then there's 1% are reflectors, which are here to be the canaries in the coal mine. They're here to, reflect the health and well-being or not of their community and the people around them. And so the generators, the manifesting generators, are the fastest moving people on the planet. And so they are the ones who, you can accomplish so much and, get so much done. And you start out as a generator. When you are living your design, you start out as a generator, getting that gut response, waiting to respond to something and getting that and then once you get that, once you get that, you get a sound from everyone. Because what's going to happen is then you go into manifesting mode. And so then what happens is you start to step into whatever you're saying yes to and testing it. And at any point, it's like going into first gear, then second gear, then third gear, then fourth gear. And at some point, you're going to get what's called a moment of truth, where you're like, yeah, this is it. And you go right into full manifestation. And at any point, if the gut response changes while you're in that ramp up, you can actually pull back, stop, just, no, this isn't it, we're changing directions. And so, Gail, this might be interesting for you to know, because it's like Ilya is like, she's spontaneous. She's, once she's got that gut response, she can go into action, she can start it, and then she can be like, change of direction. We're not doing that anymore. We're going to do something else. and Ilya, you also have like this intuitive, you have this channel to your throat, which is like the center of manifestation from your spleen. And so, you are all about intuition and instinct, and just like, that's where you come from and speak from and act from. And so you are just like this real fast moving firecracker, but you can like pivot and you can change really easily. Gail, you're a pure generator, and you have that same gut response, wait to respond to something, get that yes. But once you say yes to something, you're in it for the long haul. You don't have that same ability to pivot on a dime like Ilya does. And you also have what's called emotional authority. And where Ilya's authority is this splenic, instantaneous, you get it and you know it immediately. You don't know how you know it, but you know it. The emotional authority, which is half the population, has to wait, ride through their emotional wave, and get to this still point of clarity. And that can take a while sometimes. And so the best thing to do is to sleep on it, to, wait until you really know, yes, this is the yes is in the highs and the lows. And my decision around this is from a place of detachment and calm. And so, whereas Ilya's like, let's do it, let's go for it, let's go off to the races. Gail's like, wait, let me sleep on it. Let's just wait a couple days. Can we take our time and really make sure this is going to work out? Now for you, that's really important, because once you get on that path, it's really hard for you to stop. The sacral has an on switch, but it doesn't have an off switch.
So unfortunately for you, Ilya, we're in this for life.
Oh, good. Actually,
just knowing that about each other, tell me, how helpful is that? Is that helpful?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I was reflecting back when I called Gail and said, Gail, I have this amazing idea for a podcast and I want you to be my co-host and I think we could do this. And she's like, wait, hold on a minute. And I'm like, say a yes. And she's like, okay. Now understanding her style. I can give her
Plus
some
it was
room.
like, and we're going to do this next week. And I'm like, yeah, no, not next week. Not next week. Let's breathe a minute. So yeah, that is really interesting.
Yeah. And so like getting validation that you guys are actually, living in your design in that way is awesome. And then just knowing that that is the way to be with each other, so Ilya giving Gail that night to think things over, as opposed to like, I'm just going to run with it. Or you can be like, well, okay, Gail, I'm going to run with it. And next week, get back to me because I might have changed everything. It might be different.
It could be different.
And that's having, both of you starting from that like generator type. You couldn't be more different, even in that, mm-hmm. And then the other thing that I want to talk about was your profiles, because according to your charts, you actually both have the same profile, which is, how others perceive you and how you interact with people on a very general level. And you're both what's called 5-1 profiles, which is in some schools of human design, the heretic investigator. Some people also call it the leader investigator. But you're both natural born leaders and teachers. And people feel that and know that about you. But what happens is they project onto you what they want you to teach them. Or how they want you to lead them. And then the 1 in you, which is that's the 5 is the conscious part. The 1 in you is the unconscious part. And that part is like, I need to know exactly what I'm teaching. I need to be grounded in this. I need to have a depth of information and be really solid and embodied in what I know before I really want to go out there and teach anything. And that is actually really important, because the heretic piece comes in when people are like, you're going to be my leader, you're going to be my teacher, or even you're going to be my rescuer, because a lot of people want 5 types to rescue them. And when you are, living up to their projections of you, you are the best thing, you're geniuses, you are the fabulous, most wonderful things ever created. When you are not living up to those projections, though, that's when you're the heretic, and it's like, burn them at the stake. And, and that's like it. No, that's it. We're done.
Well, that's really interesting. I don't know about you, Ilya, but like I heard little bells going ding, 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 ding. Because I'm also switching careers right now, Mary Jo. So this aligns with some of the reasons I made my choices.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Yeah. And so
it fits. I mean, well, I've spent time with both of you, both in intense programs, different programs, but intense programs. And I'll ask both of you, does this seem accurate for what you have seen? Gail, I spent time with you online for how many weeks on end which was great, but it was still, you got to see my ugly side. And Mary Jo, you got to see my flannel nightgown in an intense 5-week program. So
yes.
Does this seem like it fits?
I say absolutely. I mean, there's other pieces. I've only given you 3 tiny pieces of information about your charts. Another really fun one that you both have in common is what's called an open G, or self-center, identity center. And what that means is that, you both are designed to be chameleons. You are both designed to be, whatever you want to be, and that will be fluid and changing throughout your life. And so, Ilya, for you, the flannel, from where you are now to the flannel fits perfectly.
Perfect.
And from alcoholic to minister to coach.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes.
Wow. So
yeah.
It's amazing how accurate this is. So Mary Jo, somebody has this, I've got so many questions. I guess what I'm seeing is I'm seeing it in a environment of business where you have a problem, your team is not coming together, and they're not playing well with each other in the sandbox. I could see this actually working well for this report coming out and understanding each other's style on a very fundamental level. Have you ever used it that way?
Yes. You can absolutely use it that way. Some people actually build their entire business around that.
Wow.
Like if they're a business coach, you can use that, as an excellent tool. to help. And some people even use it when they're like creating, let's say, a business or something, and wanting to make sure that they have all the different roles covered, as far as like, do we have a manifestor? Do we have our generators? Do we have our projectors who are going to help, guide everything? Reflectors are way more rare, but, it's always nice to have, if you can get, the right mix of people, then you've got all the energies working together in tandem with each other. And it works with not just business, but it also works with relationships, families, finding out, if you're a parent, finding out what your children are, and really learning how to work with their energy can be life-changing. Sometimes people, kids have gone from being this problem child who's like always getting reprimanded to finding out like, oh my God, they need to, actually, they need to be alone, and they need to sleep by themselves so that they can discharge all the energy that they've accumulated during the day. And if they're not able to, they're just like overstimulated and like, so things like that. So it has all sorts of purposes.
Well, and I was thinking spouses.
Yes.
Because we project and misunderstand our partners, which is,
yes,
a long-term relationship sometimes.
Yes. Yeah. And I didn't even get to really talk much about the centers, but I'll just, like the centers where you have, the body graph here, where some are white and some are colored in.
Mhm.
When they're white, they are open and are undefined. And when they're colored in, they're defined. And what that means is when they're defined, there's a specific way that they operate consistently. And when they're white, they are inconsistent, and you take on the energy of the people you're with. And so even understanding that in a relationship with a spouse or a family or even business partners is really important as well.
And I know this might be too much detail, but I'm going to ask anyway. Is there a reason? So on my chart, I have one of the lines that's half red and half black. I've got some that are black and red stripes.
Yes.
Yeah, those are, so I've got total red, total black, black and red stripes. So that means something also?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you're really messed up.
Yeah, thanks for that, Elia.
No, it's what that means is, so taking another step back, I kind of just leapt right into the, the types and everything. Human design is based on your birth data, right? And we know that. And so everything that you see that's black is based on your actual date and time of birth. And that is what is conscious in your chart, and something that you would know to be like true about yourself. Everything that is red or pink in the chart is based on a calculation that is 88-degree solar arc of your birth date. It's about 3 months before you were born. And that's when you take in a burst of genetic information. And so what that shows is, ancestral information that you're bringing in with you, and, here to help work out from the family line, if you will. And it's unconscious information. And, when you learn about it, it's no longer unconscious. And when it's striped, it means that you've got it activated multiple times in both your conscious side and your unconscious side, so that there's a real focus on that.
Wow.
Okay, so I'm looking at mine. I'm sure Gail's looking at hers, and looking at mine, I have a lot to work on, it looks like, from ancestral.
Well, everyone has the same number of, let's just say, like everyone has 13 activations on either side. So, but
good.
what you have is you have a lot of stripes. So you've got a lot of overlapping overlapping both conscious and unconscious. So that is, I would say, focus. I wouldn't call it things to work on as much as it would be areas of focus for this lifetime.
And does this indicate what I need to focus on in this lifetime?
Well, it indicate, I mean, I can tell you, from just looking at it real without giving you an in-depth reading. One of the really fun ones that you have striped is it's called Empowering Intuition. I told you were super intuitive. This particular channel that I'm looking at, it's the one that bends, goes from the red square over to the golden diamond, brown diamond, triangle. That one, it is called Empowering Intuition, and the other name for it is the Channel of Resurrection. And it is being able to take something that is like nearly dead, dying, or just like, completely like overgrown, and being able to just like bring it back to life. Being able to like take the weeds out or whatever needs to go and just like bring it back to life. It's actually a really fun channel for someone who's doing coaching to have.
I was thinking about my favorite place to shop at Lowe's or Home Depot is the plant aisle with all the dying plants. They're all 75% off. That's my favorite place to shop, and bring them home and do CPR on them. Yeah.
Yeah, that's that channel. But you can do it with people, you can do it with businesses, you can do it with, anything really.
Gail, you're quiet over there. What are you thinking? You're muted, Gail.
First of all, I want to apologize to our viewers. I have to keep going on mute because obviously barking dog, phone on do not disturb, but disturb me anyway, and then a train. So it's just one of those days.
It's
so live. I apologize for the noise. That's why I had things muted. So look, you were talking about the defined channels. Is that the bars that connect everything, Mary Jo?
So the defined channels are the bars that go from one center to another and light both centers up.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's where you have consistent energy throughout your entire lifetime.
All right. Interesting. I was just looking at mine. So I even though we're the same kind of Ilya, I'm sure that our defined channels are different. So.
Your defined channels are different, and your centers, your defined centers, other than the well, you have the sacral that's similar, and the spleen, and the mind. But Ilya has more openness than you do, Gail. And so your defined centers, particularly the top and the bottom on the crown and the root, can potentially have Ilya feeling pressure that she's picking up to, do something with all the ideas that you guys are generating, and to want to get into action, and to just be like, we got to do this. I'm feeling this pressure. We got to make something out of this. We got to make it happen. And and part of that is what we've talked about before. And part of it is the openness that she has, where you have definition. And so she's taking your energy and feeling like, oh my God, we got to do something with this.
I'm sorry, Ilya. I didn't want you to feel that way. Thank God we're not in the same state.
Exactly. Oh, it's really funny. That's funny that you said that, because today I was having brunch with somebody, and I said, I have this crazy quilt in my life. And I said, it's metaphoric that I feel like there's all these different pieces, and it's like a crazy quilt, and I'm not sure how I can sew them all together and make it cohesive. And what I was talking about was all the different things and trainings and businesses that I'm putting together. And I was like, I just feel like such pressure to get them together now and make this pretty quilt. And so, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense.
Yes, yeah, because Ilya, you wouldn't be feeling it just with Gail. It would be anyone who had the definition in those centers. So, but I'm sure
So,
you can
Mary,
see how this is like, this
it's
information is
amazing.
multi-layered and you know, can be applied in many different ways.
So
I don't
Mary Jo,
know.
I understand that you published a book.
Yeah, well, yes, I am part of a co-author in a book. It's called, Stop Overworking and Start Overflowing. And my contribution in it is actually about the idea of for projectors. For generators, you need to wait to respond to something. For projectors, to engage your energy properly, you need to wait for an invitation and to be recognized for your skills or gifts or whatever. And so my chapter is about realizing that all the times that I have retired, or stopped one career and started another or done something different has been a way of gracefully allowing an invitation to acknowledging it's run its course and then waiting for the next one, and just what you do, as a projector in between times. And so that's what that chapter is about. But
Nice.
the book itself is about how not to overwork, how not to burn out, and how you can use human design to create a life and business or career that's going to help you not burn out.
And so would it be fair to say that if you have a human design report in front of you, you've consulted, that and you're planning on changing a job, changing a career, it will help you with that to better understand your strengths and where to go, what direction to go, so that you're utilizing and you're happier.
Yes, and also be able to use the type and authority that we worked on in the beginning of this, call to help you be able to, make decisions and enter into opportunities or be available for opportunities using your type and your authority. And so yes, you can see the strengths, you can see the areas where you might get, conditioned or like take on energy that isn't yours and kind of go in that direction. But essentially, human design really can help you tune into what's really going to make you happy, what's going to fulfill you, what's going to bring you joy, and what's going to make your life just flow easier.
I like that.
I think a lot of people out there right now are looking for a way to get their lives to flow a lot easier. I think the pandemic has shown us where we were having struggles in our lives and what we are and are no longer going to tolerate. So, but they don't know where to go. They don't know what to do. The coaching industry is just exploding right now because there's so many people that need direction. This is an interesting, really very interesting tool. So when you are also a coach, and I know you also are a RIM facilitator.
Yes.
My question for you is that if somebody is interested in coaching, seeking out your services, do you bring in all your different tools depending on what they need? What is your specialty of coaching?
Yeah. So I bring in all of my tools. So if someone were interested in coaching with me, in addition to let's call it straight coaching, the human design reading is certainly a tool that we use. The RIM is also a tool that we use. And so, if people are interested, they can go to my website, which is called creativedirectionsforliving.com. and they can, learn more about it. But basically, what I like to say is that we like to start with the end in mind. And by the end, I mean imagining the last day of your life and imagining how you want to feel. And when you think about looking back on your life and what you did. And one of the Bronnie Ware, who was a hospice volunteer, wrote a book called The 5 Regrets of Dying, Top Regrets of Dying. And one of the top regrets was not living true to who you are, but living someone else's life or expectation of you. And so that's one thing that people who work with me want to do. And then the second regret is working too hard. And so they wish they hadn't worked quite as hard as they had. And so, and then the third one is to wish that they had the courage to express their feelings. And so, when you take the top 3 regrets and you really reverse engineer your life, then, start living it the way that you want to now before you get to the end and say, damn, I wish I had done it differently.
That is sage advice, Mary Jo. Thank you so much. And along with Mary Jo's website, she will, not only will this podcast be on our website, we also have a guest list, and we will feature Mary Jo and her bio and her book on our website. And it's Pivot, the number 2, and then the word grow, and it all runs together. So Pivot to Grow with the number 2.org. And if you can look at our guest list, and if you have any questions you want to submit, possibly we will reach out and contact you to be coached by one of our guests in the future. Mary Jo, I cannot thank you enough. This has been enlightening. I wish I was a manifesting generator.
No, there's no good or bad types.
I know. I had to say that because I'm glad that was your response, because, people are going to go, oh, that's, they'll
Yes.
play in their heads. And so, yes, if you missed that, because I kind of overtalked her, she said there is no good and bad. It
Right.
just is a way to be and to know how you are, correct? So that you can be a better version of yourself because you understand your human design. Fabulous stuff.
You got it, Gail.
She's a quick study.
She is.
Mary Jo, I do want to thank you. I love this time. I love any time that we get to spend together. So thank you
Yes,
for being
likewise.
here. For our
Thank you for
audience,
inviting me.
please make sure that you go and like and review us on your favorite platforms so that we get bumped up in the ratings and more people get this wonderful message out there. And Gail and I and Mary Jo, thank you so much. And we wish you a beautiful week ahead.
Thank you.
The views, information, or opinions expressed on this YouTube channel and podcast are solely the views of the individuals involved and by no means represent absolute facts. Opinions expressed by the host and guests can change at any time. Pivot to Grow does not verify the accuracy of the information contained in the YouTube channel and podcast and is not responsible for this information. Pivot to Grow and its hosts assume no responsibility or liability for any errors or omissions in the content of the YouTube channel and podcast. The information contained on the YouTube channel and podcast is provided on an as-is basis with no guarantees of completeness, accuracy, usefulness, or timeliness. The information published on this podcast and YouTube channel is for informational purposes only. Any reliance you place on such, you do at your own risk. The information provided is not meant to be a substitute for professional, legal, medical, mental health, or financial advice. If you require professional services, it is your responsibility to seek it out from a licensed attorney, mental health practitioner, physician, or financial services professional. In no way is the information provided meant to be a substitute for medical or psychological advice. This information does not serve to diagnose, treat, or provide a cure for any condition you may be experiencing. Pivot to Grow does not claim to and will not be held responsible for diagnosing, treating, or curing any physical or mental health condition. This podcast and YouTube channel does not take the place of listeners' healthcare professional. Under no circumstances should listener stop seeing his or her healthcare professional. If listener decides to take action based on the coaching and advice he or she receives from Pivot to Grow or a guest on Pivot to Grow, listener does so at his or her own risk.